Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a country usually known for its, well, stable, measured diplomacy, suddenly making this huge, really unprecedented move.
Yeah, extraordinary is the word.
We're talking about Australia and a decision they made recently that's definitely sent ripples, big ripples, way beyond their shores. So today we're diving deep into what seems like a really fascinating and frankly concerning international incident.
Absolutely. Australia expelling Iran's ambassador.
Exactly. And these very serious, detailed allegations of foreign-directed anti-Semitic attacks happening on Australian soil.
It's quite a charge.
Our mission here is to really look closely at the facts, as they've come out from official statements, intelligence findings.
Trying to piece it together.
And understand not just the immediate diplomatic fallout, but maybe the broader implications too, for relations, for security.
Right.
We've got quite a stack here. Government press conferences, intel reports laying out, well, what looks like a pretty intriguing story for you. So let's kick off with this huge shift. Australia's foreign minister, Penny Wong, she actually described the move herself.
Yeah, I saw that. First time since World War II, she said.
Right, that really jumps out. They've given Iran's ambassador, Ahmad Sadeghi, and 3 other officials just 7 days.
7 days to leave the country. That's fast.
It's not just like a bureaucratic thing, is it? It feels like a major statement.
Oh, absolutely. It's about as serious as diplomatic statements get, short of cutting ties completely.
And they've also pulled their own diplomats out of Tehran. So, given that World War II comparison, what does a move like this really signal?
Well, starting there is key, because that first since World War II line, it's not just rhetoric. It immediately signals extreme gravity.
It puts it on a different level.
Totally. Expelling an ambassador, I mean, that's pretty much the strongest protest you can make diplomatically before you just sever relations entirely. And for a country like Australia, which usually goes for, multilateral approaches, measured responses, to take this kind of drastic step, it tells you they believe there's been a breach of conduct so fundamental, so unacceptable, that they just can't let it slide.
So a fundamental breach?
We're talking about something that, in their view, violates the basic rules of how states are supposed to interact. To a degree they haven't seen in, almost 80 years?
Wow.
It's way beyond just showing displeasure. It signals a complete collapse of trust and, a sense of direct threat.
And the trigger for all this, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was pretty blunt about it.
He didn't hold back, no.
He openly alleged Iran's government was directly behind anti-Semitic attacks, specifically in Sydney and Melbourne.
And that's the core of it, not just general unrest, but state-sponsored action.
Exactly, within Australia's borders. Now, to make that kind of direct public accusation against another country, what does that tell us about how sure they must be?
Well, that's absolutely central here. When a government, especially one like Australia's, with, a fair bit of international credibility, makes such a direct, serious accusation about state-sponsored activity hitting its own citizens, it signals an incredibly high level of confidence in their intelligence.
They must feel they have solid proof.
You'd have to assume so.
Yeah.
This isn't just speculation. It implies, a really rigorous process behind the scenes. Gathering intelligence, checking it, double-checking it.
So agencies like Asio.
Exactly. Asio, the Australian Security Intelligence Organization, they would have been meticulously collecting and analyzing stuff from all sorts of places, human sources, signals, intel, maybe forensic data from the attacks.
Putting it all together.
Right. To reach such a definitive conclusion, they're essentially putting their own reputation on the line globally.
Which suggests?
It suggests the evidence they have is compelling enough to justify not just this huge diplomatic break, but also the risk of, potential backlash or things escalating.
It's a calculated risk, then.
Very calculated move, yeah. Implying the threat or the violation was just too severe to handle with the usual diplomatic quiet channels.
Okay, let's dig into the specifics then. Albanese mentioned 2 key incidents.
Right, the arson attacks.
An arson attack on the Lewis Continental Kitchen, a cafe in Sydney, that was last October, and another one on Melbourne's Adass Israel Synagogue in December. And he framed these not as isolated acts, but his words, attempts to undermine social cohesion and sow discord and extraordinary and dangerous acts of aggression.
That phrasing is strong. Undermine social cohesion.
What stands out to you about the targets they chose, especially the synagogue?
The choice of targets, yeah, that's really significant and deeply disturbing, frankly. Especially the Adass Israel Synagogue in Melbourne.
Why that one particular?
Well, this isn't just any building. It was built by Holocaust survivors back in the 1960s. That connection, It's powerful.
Gosh, yes.
And the sources mentioned worshippers actually had to flee when the fire took hold. So it's a direct, terrifying threat to people, to a community.
It makes it very personal, very direct.
Absolutely. Targeting a place of worship, especially one with that kind of history, it's designed to inflict more than just physical damage. It's psychological, emotional harm.
Aiming to create fear.
Fear and division, precisely. It goes way beyond property damage.
Yeah.
It's a direct challenge to the safety, the identity, the sort of fabric of that community, that kind of symbolic targeting.
Yeah.
It often points towards, well, certain types of foreign directed action designed to maximize impact far beyond just the fire itself.
And how did they allegedly carry these out? Mike Burgess, the head of Asio, gave some important clues.
Right, the intelligence chief.
He said Iran sought to disguise its involvement. So this wasn't Iran directly doing it, obviously. It was clandestine.
And that's crucial, the alleged method. It speaks volumes about the sophistication, the deniability they were apparently aiming for.
How so?
Burgess specifically mentioned Iran using cutouts, including criminals and members of organized crime gangs.
Cutouts, so like intermediaries.
Exactly. For anyone listening who isn't familiar, cutouts are basically middlemen. They obscure the link between the person pulling the strings, the state in this case, and the person actually doing the action.
Ah, okay. Creates distance.
Creates layers of plausible deniability. If you use criminals or gangs...
Yeah. What's the advantage there?
Well, you achieve a few things. You outsource the risk, first off. You tap into existing networks that are already operating outside the law. Maybe you have skills you need.
And it makes it harder to trace back?
Much harder. An initial investigation might just point to local crime, right? Not necessarily a foreign state pulling the strings from afar. It's a classic tactic, really, for projecting influence or causing disruption without leaving your fingerprints directly on it.
And Burgess didn't stop at just those two fires, did he? He suggested a wider pattern.
No, he expanded the scope. He indicated that intelligence found Iran was likely to be behind other anti-Semitic incidents in Australia.
Okay, so more than just the arson attacks.
Suggests a broader pattern, maybe more systematic. Attacks on Jewish schools, homes, cars, other synagogues. Apparently observed since October 7th, 2023.
Since the Hamas attack on Israel and the start of the war in Gaza.
Right. And Hamas is an ally of Iran, of course.
Yeah.
So the timing seems, well, significant.
Police had also hinted at this earlier, right? Back in January.
Yeah, reports mention police were looking into the possibility of overseas actors or individuals directing attacks on Jewish-linked properties even then.
So this timing post-October 7th, it seems pretty critical.
It's undeniably crucial, yeah, for understanding the potential geopolitical motives. The increase in these incidents after October 7th lines up with, this period of intense global tension, especially in the Middle East, involving Iran and its allies or proxies.
So it looks like spillover from that conflict.
It strongly suggests these alleged actions could be a way that wider regional conflict is playing out on Australian soil, maybe to exert pressure or destabilize or just send a message.
But you mentioned context earlier.
Yes, and it's vital to see this in the broader context of community tensions within Australia, too. A civil society group, the Islamophobia Register.
They monitor hate incidents.
Right. They've also recorded a rise in Islamophobic incidents during the same period. So it points to heightened tensions across different communities.
So it's a really challenging time for social cohesion overall.
Exactly. It shows how international events can have these direct, often polarizing impacts at home, affecting various groups.
Okay, so beyond the expulsions, what else is Australia doing? Penny Wong mentioned other measures.
They're taking further steps, yes. She confirmed that while they'll keep some diplomatic lines open with Tehran, they've suspended operations at their embassy in Iran, primarily for staff safety.
Suspended operations, that's serious.
It is. And she also urged Australians not to travel to Iran and told any Aussies already there to leave if they can safely do so.
What's the practical effect of shutting down embassy operations like that?
Well, practically, it means no consular help for Australians in Iran. That leaves people potentially quite vulnerable.
And the travel warnings.
They're a stark admission of a perceived threat. Saying that even basic diplomatic work is too risky for staff now, it signals a really deep breakdown in trust.
It suggests they think the threat goes beyond just diplomats.
It seems to imply the threat environment has changed fundamentally and potentially extends to Australian citizens more broadly. It's a clear message. Australia now views Iran as unreliable, maybe even hostile.
And then there was another huge announcement from the Prime Minister.
Ah, yes, the IRGC designation.
Designating Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, as a terrorist organization. That sounds like a very powerful move.
It is powerful, and it's definitely not just symbolic. It has real, tangible consequences.
Like what?
Well, it gives Australian authorities the power to freeze assets linked to the IRGC, individuals, companies, you name it. It makes it a crime to provide financial or material support to the group.
So it hits their funding networks.
Potentially, yes. And restricts travel for IRGC members. It basically broadens the legal toolkit Australia has to target the IRGC's operations, both at home and maybe internationally.
Does this align Australia with other countries?
It does, most notably the U.S., which designated the IRGC back in 2019, so it helps create a more unified international stance against the group's activities.
Makes it harder for them to operate.
That's the idea. It raises the legal and financial stakes significantly for anyone caught helping the IRGC.
And how's the rest of the world reacting? Israel, for one, seems pleased.
Unsurprisingly, yes. Israel's embassy in Canberra welcomed the moves. Their statement on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, was very direct.
What did they say?
Something like, Iran's regime is not only a threat to Jews or Israel, it endangers the entire free world, including Australia. Pretty strong words.
Endangers the entire free world.
Yeah, and they even referenced a 12-day war Israel fought with Iran in June.
A 12-day war between Israel and Iran directly.
Well, that phrasing is interesting. Israel and Iran don't usually fight declared direct wars in that sense. It likely refers to a period of intense conflict involving Iranian proxies like Hamas or Hezbollah.
Ah, so Israel sees Iran as the main force behind those proxies.
Exactly. They view Iran as the principal actor, the instigator behind the scenes. So that reference and the broader statement positions Australia's actions not just as a domestic security issue,
but as part of a bigger picture.
as part of that wider, ongoing geopolitical struggle, where Iran's alleged destabilizing influence is a major concern for Israel and others. Australia stepping up like this is seen by Israel as, well, a necessary move in confronting that larger threat.
So let's try and pull this together for you, our listener. What does it all mean? We've seen Australia take this huge step, diplomatically speaking.
Truly unprecedented in the modern era for them.
Expelling an ambassador, first time since World War II. And it's based on these very detailed allegations about Iran directing anti-Semitic attacks right here in Australia.
Using proxies like criminals to do the dirty work, apparently.
Claims backed up by their intelligence services, painting this picture of quite sophisticated, disguised operations.
Which led to this major escalation. The expulsions, shutting down the embassy in Tehran, the IRGC designation.
And strong reactions internationally, like from Israel.
Yeah, the whole situation really throws a spotlight on that complex, often hidden link between global politics and what happens on the ground in our communities.
It shows how conflicts far away can suddenly, well, show up here.
Absolutely. In surprising and frankly disturbing ways, challenging that sense of safety, of social cohesion. It forces us to think about the real impact of intelligence, on the life of a nation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe here's something for you to think about. Given this whole tangled web alleged foreign interference in domestic incidents using proxies, targeting civilians, what does Australia's decisive reaction tell us about how international conflict might be changing in the 21st century?
That's a big question. State-sponsored aggression seems to be evolving.
Especially when it uses these deniable methods, right? Targeting communities to sow discord. How do countries like Australia, which maybe historically felt a bit removed from the sharp end of these geopolitical clashes,
How do they adapt?
Yeah, how do they adapt their strategies to protect their people, protect their sovereignty in a world that feels more connected, more complex, and where those lines between overt war and covert action seem increasingly blurry?
That's definitely something worth mulling over. How do you defend against threats that try so hard to hide their origins?
Something to think about until our next deep dive.